apologies again. It's just because I have gone into what's it called? Hello, everybody. How are we doing?
Hi.
Good. Very good.
It's been a while since all of us have been together. So, Helen, welcome back.
Thank you.
We've missed you.
I've missed doing these.
We've missed you. So, I'm just making sure that we are live on. It says we're live. Let's see. Just make sure that we're live on. What do you call it? What do we call it?
Instagram, YouTube.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. On
Media.
Just got, it's just like, oh God, I've lost it. But yeah. So today we're talking about world affairs. I was trying to think of what to talk about. I was like, there's too much going on. There's too much going on, and there must be an impact on people's lives and everything else. So, but before we do that, because we've got Helen come back in, if everybody just goes round the table and just introduces themselves, we will start with Rochelle.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for the preparation.
Well,
Hi, everyone. My name is Rochelle Gilburn. I help business owners to invest their profit into property so that they can make passive income. And I do that all hands-free so they can spend time on the things that matter, like running their business, spending time with the children. That's me.
brilliant.
Is that long for you?
Helen.
I'm Helen Honeysett. I am the CEO of Defy Expectations, and we help people make right leadership decisions to help leaders get back to loving leadership.
I love that. And Naomi.
Hi, I'm Naomi Holbrook, also known as the Unconventional Weight Loss Coach, and I help women to reclaim their health, confidence, and energy.
Brilliant. And my name is Victoria Dio, also known as the African Oracle. I give you your real purpose so that you fall in love with your life again. Right, let's do this. So, world affairs, what's going on? I've got so much to say about this and stuff, but I'm going to try and sort of like hold back and say we have had a royal who's been disroyal. We had a royal who's been I was going to say disrobed, but no, that was a few years ago. But we've got a royal who's been disroyaled. We've got a list that nobody knows who's in it and thinks we know everybody who's in it. We've got World War III. Is that happening? I don't know if we know that's happening. How are we feeling? How is it affecting your business? Helen.
So I saw a brilliant meme, which was sort of a wall with someone who graffitied the Epstein files all over it. And then someone was coming along and putting a little poster up of Iran versus, the US bombs Iran. And you're like, yeah, it's interesting. I don't watch the news. I don't read newspapers. I sort of really deliberately step back from it all, but I get a lot. And I was talking to a colleague yesterday whose brother lives in Dubai with his wife. And she was sort of saying, I think I'm just so detached from it, so I'm not panicking about it. And I was like, yeah, I wonder if that is where a lot of people are. And it's interesting. My kids are doing, well, my eldest is doing World War II in history at the moment at school. And he's doing all this stuff. And he was like, kids our age will be evacuees. And I'm sitting there going, oh, God, would they still be? What would we do now?
Yeah. There is a lot, and it's like it's very. I mean, my mind races when stuff like this happens, and I'm one of those people that starts to map things out in my brain, going, "Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting?" Naomi, what are your thoughts?
I'm very much in the same camp as Helen. So, since 2020, I have not watched the news.
Okay.
Or bought papers, unless I'm featuring in them. Sorry.
No,
sorry, not sorry. And look, some people will call me naive and not in touch with the real world, but I spent 30 years of my life living with clinical depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. And I made a very conscious decision when we were in the pandemic to remove myself from what I cannot control. And I have been living the Stoicism philosophy since 2019 of control what I can and make peace and let go of what I can't. And like I said, there will be people that call me naive for that and, you know, digging my head in the sand and whatever. However, I know that I can only make a difference in my area of the world, whether that's with my clients, my family, my loved ones. It's hugely concerning what's going on in all aspects, everything that you've just talked about there. I think that, you know, they say that the 20s of every century are the kind of disruptive decade. And I think that we're absolutely going through some massive shifts. Like you say, is it World War III, you know, or have we already technically been through that? Who knows? But I think that the problem is our brains are hardwired for seeking out problems, danger, things that are going wrong. So what I choose to do for my own mental health and well-being, and to keep me in a place where I am depression-free, anxiety-free, panic attack-free, which I've managed to do now for several years, is focus on what I can. And not let myself be swayed and go down that rabbit hole. I've got a lot of friends that live in the States. You know, they have been down this rabbit hole now for a long time. It is impacting their mental health. It is impacting their sleep. It is impacting their relationships. And when I say relationships, where they have got different political views to their family members, it is having a massive divide. So, for instance, if my 92-year-old dad wants to talk about politics and things, I actually have a no rule to that. We talk about, and again, people might say that's naive and you should be discussing these things. But no, if it impacts my mental health and it impacts me and how I do my business and how I show up in the world, I'm not prepared to have those conversations and discuss them.
Thank you.
That's
Rochelle.
Well, I am also in the not watching the news or buying newspapers camp, which I think is actually quite normal for entrepreneurs. I think a lot of people in our circles are like that, because then you can control what you're absorbing. The way social media works at the moment is horrendous, and I think that's sort of counteracting the benefit of not watching the news, where if you express any interest in like one article, then all of a sudden you're bombarded with stuff about that same thing. So that's something like that I'm trying to be more conscious of. I don't want to be seeing things all the time, because like Naomi said, it's out of our control. But I woke up on Saturday morning and I saw a post from somebody I'm friends with on Facebook saying like checking with your Iranian friends, and I actually had a call with my mentee on Saturday morning, and she's Iranian. So straight as soon as it started happening, I was already I couldn't just ignore it, so I had to contact her and make sure she was okay to still go ahead with the call. But she was, and understandably she was very scared. She's got a whole family and friends over in Iran. She'd not been able to contact them from the Friday night, and I think because I woke up and I was seeing that as a real life, all of a sudden I'm not detached from it anymore. There's somebody that I know that's impacted by it, and it seems less far away than what it would normally seem. And I know, so she was very much like, she feels like the war there is a good thing, although it's terrifying for her still, because she has got those relatives there and people that she cares about. She thinks that it will be beneficial to the country, and then you've got a lot of people who are Iranian people who are completely against it, and it's similar to our politics. You're always going to have 50%, not necessarily 50%, but half of the people that agree with something and half that disagree, and some that sit in the middle somewhere. But I talked to, as soon as I'd had my call with my mentee, I was speaking to Chris, my partner, about it, and he was probably a similar attitude to you, Naomi, where it's like, well, we can't control it. So he was like, why even think about it, it's not impacting us. But then I was like, well, it might not be impacting us directly, but it's all the indirect ways that it does impact us. Like, we've got a holiday booked to Cyprus in August. Like, it's a very like luxury first world problem, but are we going to be able? We love Cyprus. We were considering moving there a couple of years back. We hopefully will do one day. We're also going to Crete, which is not that far away from where everything's happening. So it's all these knock-on effects of it. And then yesterday I had a call with one of my investors who's buying a couple of properties from us, and he's been told that he might not. He lives in Abu Dhabi. He's been told he might not have a job in a few weeks, so he might have to pull out of some of the properties that he's buying. So all of a sudden, something that doesn't impact me at all because I'm here in my safe bubble of the UK, we're now getting things that are having a knock-on effect, and I'm seeing the real impact of that, which I've not seen with any of the other wars that have been going on quite as much as what I'm seeing this time.
That's yeah, I mean, I love the different perspectives as well. So I remember years ago so to give context, I am going to be 53 this year. I spent the ages of 6 to 18 in Cameroon, and I remember being in my classroom and the teacher saying that our news wasn't censored. And I remember holding on to that because he explained to us how dictatorships works and everything else. And it is so disappointing that I can't say the same for, that it doesn't hold true, because I now know that wasn't a true sentence. It may have been a naive sentence from the teacher's perspective, or even just a teaching moment, that our news is censored. Like you guys, I haven't had a telly for about 9 years. And it's just to go a bit out of context, I moved into a house that had 9 televisions. And I was like, no. So I made sure that whilst there were televisions in every single room, there was no television in my room. I think there was, but I never switched it on. And when I moved out, I never had a television again. I don't regret it. However, to Rochelle's point, you can't help but see the news because you're online, and a lot of us run our businesses heavily online. So you have no control about what's going to pop up or what alert you get or what notification. And even when you think you're getting rid of the notifications, they always find a way to put a notification on your phone so that you can see things. But I do watch commentary around certain things, and the Prince Andrew one, or whatever he's called these days, his was one that I was hugely interested in, for a number of reasons, because I know, I've been in a space of physical and mental abuse. I know what that looks like, and I'm very passionate about it. I don't talk about it, and the reason why I don't talk about a lot of political and religious stuff is because I don't have the language for it, and also I don't want to get distracted. To Naomi's point, it's that whole thing of you don't want to get distracted, because, and I believe that the intention is to weaken you to a point where that's all you think about. However, coming back to Rochelle's point around, you can't, you are connected to it somehow. And also for us, as someone who in Cameroon, my parents are from Cameroon. Cameroon's been at war for about 10 years, but it's been between the English side and the French side, the whole thing. And to this day, people get killed because of the politics around that. Now, it's very easy to sort of like detach yourself from it. But then when we've had to house people, I met a woman this trip when I went to Cameroon who was housed by my mum. Like, my mum just said, just bring your whole family, because houses were being burned down, people were being killed and stuff. So I didn't even know this, that, and I know this woman's son, but I didn't know that. I didn't even know the context of it. I think my point is that stuff is happening. It is real. Whatever take we have on it. So my take, to Helen's point, is I find it quite interesting that we're having we're having influential men in particular who are being accused of certain things, and as they're coming out and confessing to what they've been doing, going, I'm so sorry. Boof, there's a war. Boof, it's like it's too coincidental. And if I'm honest, the excited kid in me goes, oh my God, there's a story here. But I don't want to, but I'm not getting caught into it. But I am like, oh my God, like at what point do we then take our power back? Because even us saying that this is affecting us, and it does, because at the end of the day, and rightfully so, you should protect your mental health. You should protect your area. So at what point do we go, do you know what? I'm empowered enough to look at this objectively without it affecting me. But it's almost playing games with people's minds. And I don't think there's a right or wrong way on how to deal with it. But it is close to home, because I know the deal that Rochelle was working on. So all of a sudden, now that, because we haven't spoken for a couple of days, it feels like years, but it's like, but the fact that that's happening, all of a sudden my friend who I know was expecting a certain deal to go through, it's not happening. So all of a sudden that affects me. My brother-in-law has a business in Dubai. I had to send him a message yesterday going, is everything okay? He doesn't live there. And he was like, everything's on hold. That's my sister and my nieces and nephew who are impacted, because whatever that was going to generate to help them, that stopped now. We don't know how long that's going to stop for. Does that make sense and stuff? So it's like there's a knock-on effect in everybody. And it's funny because it is impact. Even when we're going, I just don't want to hear about it. It is impacting us, because even just, it's like they say, everything is information. Everything is information. And it's like, how do we, I think the question is, how do we navigate this period?
I also think we need to look at it from a bigger picture sometimes. So there's a little bit of me actually quite excited by everything that's happening. Because if you look at the collapse of civilizations, which have been, very patriarchal, very dictatorial, look at the Roman Empire, slavery was absolutely normal, so all of those things, there were huge advancements, but there were also two classes all of the time. Is this the end of that cycle again, where there could be a move into something more positive? And I also think one of our roles as people who are entrepreneurs, as people who are thinking differently, as people who are thinking outside the box a little bit, how do we hold that space for what could come in? In order for things to change, there has to be destruction, there has to be collapse. Are we witnessing that so that we can then see something else come in? And how we balance that, I think, is really important. So, I like stepping back and looking up and out and seeing what is the big piece here, because otherwise it's so easy to get drawn into that fear and that impact as well.
I like that. I believe that, and this is where I come with purpose, right? I believe that when you know what you're here to do on this earth, all that noise doesn't affect you. Purposeful living, I think, is so important right now. And I'm talking to somebody who knows why she's here, and like with absolute conviction. I still get excited, but I get excited because I do like to watch these things and go, oh my God. But equally, I'm going, but you've got work to do. You've got people to serve. This isn't where you spend your time. You've seen it. Okay, fair enough. But I don't do it where I immerse myself in it and stuff. But you're right. It is it's like, what does the new world look like? Because something's going to happen, right? Something's going to, whether it's going to be scary or at least we know it's not going to be boring. That's for sure. We know it's not going to, but whatever's going to come out of it and stuff, it's like it is going to be a new world. And how do we look at that new existence of us? Because we're going to be part of that. Rochelle, what are your thoughts on what do you think? What should we be doing?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I just wanted to pick up on a couple of things that you said while you were talking, and you said about not having the language. And my mum did a post on, I think it was on Saturday, saying like, how can we expect we teach our children not to resolve things with violence? So we've got a huge knife crime problem in the UK at the moment, and we're saying, like, you don't need to be carrying knives. Violence is not the answer. Let's sit down and have conversations and solve problems with our words, and not with violence. And then the leaders of the world are going, no, conversations don't work. Let's throw bombs on everyone. So she did this post about it, and then a woman comes on, I think she's like in the property industry, and starts saying, you need to educate yourself, you've not got a clue what's going on. I suggest you go to the Middle East and see what it's like there. And it was my mum had got a very valid point about what she was saying, and straight away people are sweeping in and like undermining that point and pretending that they are more educated and their opinion is more valid and valuable than somebody else's. And I think,
but it's also that justification of violence and behavior.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East. There's good bits, there's bad bits. Go to Streatham. There's good bits, there's bad bits. You know, we can't just carry on justifying violence. It's a really good point your mum made. That's
it. And I think in this day and age, while sometimes I don't know if I do ever understand why war is the only answer, I think we're at a stage in civilization now where we should be able to solve things in different ways without innocent people being hurt and killed. So that was one of the points. And then the other one was about all the wars in other countries. So like Russia and Ukraine, like it was such a big thing on social media. Everybody changed the profile photos to have the Ukraine flag around the thing, and then within like days it was like that wasn't happening anymore, and it was all about Israel and Palestine, and everyone's supporting their side and going down a rabbit hole with it. And then that sort of like almost disappeared now, because all anyone can think about is Iran. And I think social media is so like, it's so quick moving that, and it's like nothing else exists. So that goes back to like what you were saying, Helen, about that. What is it covering up? We're always distracted. We're always looking in one direction while other things are going off that we don't know about. So I think like it's difficult to concentrate on everything and put your attention and efforts into lots of different things. But I think people just need to be less forgetful, less like focused on one train of thought and one event. It's like be more I don't know how to really describe it, but they need to be focused on more things and not just the one, not so narrow-minded.
Naomi, what are your thoughts?
Oh gosh. I mean, it is like you say, there is just so much going on, and I think, doesn't everything begin at home?
Yeah.
In so much as, you know, we can't control another country going to war. Can we try and have more peaceful communities around us that pull together in times of crisis, so that whatever is about to come, we can support each other in that, and we can sort of pull together in that? And again, I know that some people will think that's really naive and a narrow-minded and a small-minded viewpoint, but I know that I can have more impact in the community around me. And that's, you know, not just like my neighbors, but, you know, my loved ones, my family, my friends, my clients' families and loved ones. And like you said, Vic, you know, and I completely agree with this. I know what my purpose is on this planet now. And I was only thinking about this yesterday. Every time we get distracted from that, that's having a ripple effect, not just on us, but the clients that we serve, the people that we show up for on social media. I did a post on Friday, completely off the cuff whilst I was away for a couple of days. It ended up going completely viral. And what it proved to me and showed to me is how many people are struggling in the world right now with their mental health, with marriage breakdowns, with grief, with, you know, women walking out of their jobs in menopause, all these different things. If I can make an impact there doesn't that have an impact on the world as a whole?
Mm.
But if I am focusing on everything that's going on in all these other countries and what, you know, the Andrew, formerly known as Prince, gets on with and everything else, of course I'm concerned about that. Of course I am a compassionate human being who is concerned about all these different things, but I have no impact or control over those bigger areas. So I want to make an impact where I can and help others on a, I guess, when I say on a more local level, I don't necessarily mean geographically, but where I can have that impact. And that's all I can control right now.
And I get, if I'm honest, I get everybody's perspective. Like I say, there's no right or wrong. What I will say is, to Helen's point, stuff is being hidden, and stuff is being hidden. And the fact that, again, to Rochelle's point, which is things keep changing all the time, like you don't know where to focus and everything else. We're being told what to think. Whether we think it or not, we are being told what to think. And whilst I get excited about drilling down into stuff, it's the same as the P. Diddy stuff, right? To me, it's about the fact that the more we can empower people in the businesses that we have, so we're all making sure that people do better for themselves in life, that people find happiness and everything else, the less you're likely to be taken down the route by one of these people. The truth of the matter is that whilst there's a narrative saying, oh, you don't need to take your knives, but the truth of the matter is that the people that control the world want to be respected and want to impose fear. And the only way they can do that is by war, loss of life, and taking the power away from other people. There was a woman who somebody sent me the video the other day, and I watched it, and it wasn't anything new, as in it was stuff I already knew, but hearing somebody put language to it made my blood run cold. So this is an African woman who is a doctor in America, and she's called Dr. Elizabeth, and she spoke out during the vaccine and was threatened, and then they tried to seduce her as to bring her onto their side so that she could change the narrative. None of it worked. And she was asked if there was going to be another pandemic, and without even taking a breath, she went, yes. And she led facts to it, and she said, the way it's going to work is because not everybody took the vaccine. Whatever you think about the vaccine, I'm not here to dispute what people think about the vaccine, but she goes, for everybody to have what's in the vaccine, she goes, we're going to be chipped. And she said, and whilst the vaccine, some people are like, well, I won't travel, I'll just not take the vaccine. They're going to make it so difficult for you not to take it, so they will withhold food, especially in Africa. They're actually encouraging African countries, so like Nigeria. In Cameroon, people plant more and farm more. In Nigeria, they're pretty much a cashless society now, and they don't farm as much. She's encouraging Nigerians to go back and start farming again, because they will withhold food. They will withhold resources to the point where you have no other option but to take this chip. My point is, power, threat is dominating. And you know, when we look at these poor kids and we go, well, where did they get that from? They must have got it from home. It's everywhere. They're learning that, you know, a president can throw his toys out of a pram, threaten and get his own way. And a kid goes, well, I'm going to do it to my classmate. I'm going to do it to the kid who won't give me, you may see it as trivial, I don't know, a pack of sweets, but to that kid, those sweets might be everything. The sweets to that kid may be a president's equivalent to, you know, having a say in your political administration, for example. Like, it's all so relevant, and it's all synchronized. And when we empower people, empower their parents so that they can empower their children or their nieces and nephews or whoever they're related to, it will make the kids realize that being right isn't the be all and end all. Like my mom said to me once, she goes, you have to choose whether you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And I'll choose happiness every time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the basis of it. All of these people want to be right. And that's the reality. That's the reason we keep on going. War is the alternative, because instead of being able to go, okay, well, actually, maybe there is some wiggle in what I understand, and maybe I don't know everything else, and maybe I'm not perfect because I'm human. There are people who still want to go, no, I'm refusing to show any sign of weakness or vulnerability, and I will do everything in my power to show that I am the strong man.
Ego.
Yeah. God, yeah.
Huge ego.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is, like, back to social media again, everyone is getting, depending on what your beliefs are, like social media and Google, like, reaffirm your beliefs, and then we wonder why everyone's got such polar opposite views. But it's like with immigration in this country, if you are against immigration and you've interacted with posts about immigration, it is showing you more and more boats coming, so you're like, another boat, and they're getting so obsessed with it and going down this rabbit hole. And the same with if you agree with something else. So like, I'm very pro-trans, so I get lots of things from the LGBTQ plus community, and I see people who are saying things like, oh, it's all being shoved in our face, but because they're interacting with these posts like I'm interacting with it, they are getting shown lots more things, so they think it's everywhere, and actually you're just living in this really small pocket of the internet that's just showing you what you believe to be true and influencing your beliefs so much that we're just living in this world now where everyone is so divided. And like what you were saying, Naomi, about families being divided, previously in the past, before the internet, like your family and probably your street and your village would all have very similar beliefs because you're only influenced by what's going on in it. But now we're influenced by the whole world and what everybody's saying, the whole of social media. And I think that's the scary thing. Like, there's no fence to sit on. You're either this way or you're that way. There's nothing in between.
Can I just say, was it on here, us talking about this, or somewhere else that I've heard this in the last couple of weeks, that our ancestors saw 100 faces in their lifetime, and we are now seeing something like 10,000 faces a week?
Wow.
Because of social media, because of, you know, our lives are online, our businesses are online. And so to your point there, Rochelle, that whereas our communities were so much smaller and we were probably much more aligned in our values, yes, there would always have been people that had a conflict or a difference of opinion, but now it is on such an amplified scale that you can't switch off from that unless you kind of do some of the things that we've all done, like not watching the television and the news and not watching, you know, but we are all exposed to it because it's everywhere. You know, whether you pick up the phone to a family member, whether you know, have a call with a client, whether you just happen to, you know, look at social media, it's all there. And I think just all of that is so amplified. I just want to go back to the Nokia 3210.
There's so many people now that are choosing to live the life off grid, and I'm reading a book at the moment, and he's a writer, and he's gone to live on this island where there's only 25 people living there, and it's a bit of a strange island, and it's a bit spooky and everything, but he's got no phone signal, he can't receive any emails, and I was like, I just can't imagine like that level of peacefulness where you've not got anything, like all this information that we're bombarded with every day, whether we choose to or not. It's it must just be nice to have that break. And I was like, I wonder if I could get 2 weeks away of just peace.
Well, I know the island you can do that on, and it's off of the UK. So
really?
if you ever need it, let me know.
Oh, let us know. We want to know where that is.
That sounds drop us the details, Naomi. But I think it's also really interesting because it forces people to, we've got to take responsibility for ourselves. And that's something that for the last, God knows how long, we've told we don't have to.
Yeah.
But actually we do think our own thoughts, and we do decide, and we do make choices. And yet we it's so often to find people who say, oh, this is being basically done to me. And no, it's not. You have full control of your life. You choose, you decide, take ownership. It's all right if you're not going to take ownership, but own that you don't take the ownership, sort of thing. But I think there is a real sense that actually this is about us all emotionally having to grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because yes, it's bombarding us. Okay, it's bombarding us, but we then get to choose actually how much of our time and attention we put to it and really understand what's going on. And I also think, you know, we're one of the few creatures who can do cognitive dissonance, and cognitive dissonance is a really solid and important thing that we can hold to opposing thoughts and values, makes us think, makes us interact with people. It makes those communities allow conversation above that 25 or 100 people or whatever it is. And I think that's really important, that we can then progress and understand others better. And I think that when we sort of say, this is my choice, these are my opinions, and they're right all of the time, it's a big difference between fact and opinion.
Well, I don't know what else to say to that, because I think no, well, you know, when you think we could talk about this all day, but I think the message here is take ownership of your life. You know, there's a reason why I don't join into a lot of, if you'll rarely see me comment in a triggering post online. You won't see me do it. I don't get involved in it. I don't agree with people. I don't disagree with people, only because I refuse to be a sheep. I think, you know, when you're on purpose, that you and also posting just to be seen, or posting just to be seen as being in one camp or the other, not interested in it. And it's the same with everything that's going on in this world. And to Rochelle's point, if you respond to it, then you're going to receive posts on it. If you know, there's a way to do it, but equally be present and acknowledge that there is stuff going on. And whether you decide to support locally or whether you decide to support internationally and stuff, let that be your choice, and realize that nobody out there is doing anything just for the goodness of the heart. They're doing it because it's benefiting them. You know, they're doing it because it's covering their asses, or whether it's physically, emotionally, financially, it's covering somebody's ass and stuff like. So take ownership, cover yourself. Yeah, know what you're doing, because if you can cover yourself and you're a lot stronger, then you can help the next person as well and stuff. So it's also a knock-on effect. Ladies, another great topic. Definitely. We will see you not next week. We'll see you the week after, because some of us are going to the big festival.
And some of us will be speaking on the stage.
Yeah. Are you excited?
I spoke to Danny Wallace on Monday, and I think before that I was feeling absolutely terrified, and I think she gave me a bit of she's like, you're going to be absolutely fine, you've got this. And so that did make me feel better. I've been feeling exhausted all winter, and I was like, what am I, apart from it being winter, what else can I do? My mum and my sister have both got like coldy, fluey things going on, and I'm like, I don't want to get ill. So then I realized I've not been having a B12 injection that I used to have regularly, and I'm vegan, so I've not had it for like since June. So I went and got that from my friend's house on Monday night, and straight away I'm feeling better. It was just like little things that you forget you do consistently, and then you get out of the habit of doing it, and then you're like, why am I feeling so rubbish? Oh, that's one of the things that used to help me feel better. So I think as I get closer, I'm the type of person that I'm much better at preparation and making sure I'm ready when it's really urgent and it's like the next day. I'm not a long-term planner, so I think that's been filling me with anxiety, that like, oh, I'm not ready, but I will be ready on the day, and I think that's the important thing.
Yeah, you'll be absolutely fine. I know I'm trying to write a slide deck for June.
It's June. Like, how can you write something for June? Like, Victoria's been going mad at me because I've not booked my hotel when I've known I've been speaking for a whole year. And I was like, I've got so many things to do before the March when I need the hotel. So I booked it. I think it was Monday that I booked it. So like,
yeah, there's certain things where I go, you'll be fine, and there's other things where I go, just book it. Like, it'll take you a second, just that way you just know that it's done and stuff, and you just can carry on and doing other things. But in that light, one of the things that I really want to do for our next talk, it's going to be around menopause And the reason why I want to talk about menopause is because I think as women, I mean, apart from the fact that I am having some serious, like I'm somebody who heals myself, and I have been great for the past maybe 5 years or so, or I'd say 5 years. I am developing such rapid hot flushes, like unbelievable. Like my body is burning at night, but also the fact that, you know, as you're coming into your 40s and not realizing what vitamins you need and just taking low energy as, oh God, I feel weak and stuff. It's about time that we bring some awareness around the menopause and letting people know that, letting women know that it is here. It can start as early as 30 and in some slight cases 20s. And the fact that it lasts for a long period of your life and it can affect so much. It, you know, it affects your diet, your health, your relationship. Like there's so much that it is responsible for. And I really want us to touch on that. So we'll be talking about that the next time.
Amazing.
Have a great one, ladies. Always good to see you. And I'll see you. Take care.